Welcome to another edition of Operation Rescue, Trial Tips from the Attorney Whisperer. I'm the Attorney Whisperer, Sari with you, here today talking about what you want to avoid in your opening statement when you get to the part where you handle the defense argument. Now, a variety of different consultants and lawyers handle this in a different way. In my opening template, it's 9 pieces, and it's borrowed very heavily from Rick Friedman and David Ball and a bunch of other people, but here's the basic gist. We have the hook, that's the first part, then the educate the jury section, that's the second part, the story of what happened, the defendant's story, that's the third part, the fourth part, why are we here, and the fifth part, which I call the challenges part. Now, in David Ball's template, this is called the undermining the defenses part. And there's a variety of ways to do that. We're not going to discuss today what to do. David Ball talks about how you can say before we came to trial, there's some things we needed to find out. Here's what we found. Keith Mitnick in his Don't Eat the Bruises talks about putting things into context. Before I sit down, let me put some things into context. Here's what I want you to keep in mind, regardless of how you go about undermining the defenses in your opening statement. I want you to keep this in mind. Whatever you discuss, you make important. Meaning, if you talk about a defense point in opening, you have declared to the jury, this is important. It's important enough for me to mention it. Now, here's where so many of you go wrong, is that there are all of these defenses, frivolous defenses in many cases, if not most cases, and you jump in both feet and try to defend the defenses in the challenges section. And what I want you to really get is by doing that, you're making them important. Now, does that mean we don't deal with defenses? No, of course we do. There are things that we need to put into context, as Keith Mitnick would say, so that the jury gets a flavor from us of what this really means. So here's what I want you to consider as you put together that section of your opening. Again, however you decide to do that. Is this important enough to cover? Meaning, if I cover it, do I gain or do I lose? And you've got to really think about it, because if it is a seriously frivolous defense, you've got to consider the option of not discussing it in your opening. Because when you do, you lend it credibility, especially if you've done voir dire the way that I suggest you do it, and you got this great credibility with the jury going into opening. They're going to be looking to you because they respect you at this point for the truth. So anything that comes out of your mouth, they're going to consider important. And we don't consider most defenses important. So I'll do another video on actually how I put together that challenges section. But in this video, I really want you to be thinking about, is this important and do I want to give it attention? If the answer is no, then you have a couple of options. You can either ignore it, not always an option, but sometimes it is, or you're going to have to deal with it very carefully in that challenges section. But your first question is to defend to yourself and to me, if I'm working with you as your trial consultant, how important this defense point is, because just by putting it in your opening, you're making it important. Keep that in mind. Talk soon.